Hey everybody, it's Sunday, April 7th, 2024. My name is Teri Hunter. I am an intuitive astrologer and I'm here with this week's Traversing the Transits. What we're going to do is look at the astrological dynamics that are going to take place this week. We are on Eclipse Eve, the second of the season, and a powerful eclipse at that because it is in an exact conjunction with Chiron. This is unprecedented, really. Literally, the sun and the moon are at 19 degrees, 24 minutes, and Chiron is at 19 degrees, 24 minutes. We're going to feel this very powerfully. We'll also have on the 18th, so a week after the eclipse. What is today? Today is actually the 7th. So around the 18th, we're going to see the first conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter, but we're going to feel it starting. I mean, we've already started to feel it, but we're going to really feel it coming up. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about, I'm going to dig a little deeper into the aspects, and then I'm going to, good morning, Margie. I'm going to then pull a tarot card for each sign, and then we're going to do an angel reading to get the angels' advice for traversing this transit. And this eclipse season was very powerful because the first eclipse we had on March 25th was a eclipse that was conjunct the supergalactic center. It was at 5 degrees of Libra. The supergalactic center is at 2 degrees, 22 minutes of Libra. And this was really about relationships. And we know that the Libra Aries axis is about others and about self and the balance of that. And this what would have been starting to be illuminated at that time if you hadn't already felt it. We won't even talk about just yet the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, where illuminating something about my personal history and my beliefs and my ability to move forward. Good morning, Catherine. So let me back up a little bit since you're all in the room now. Hi, Taylor. Welcome, welcome. Small Wildflowers is got some personal things to take care of. Good morning, Lucy Rose. So I'm going to use my handy dandy little index cards here so that if when I go through, if people don't have the, if you can't all help with the timestamps, I'll be able to visually catch it than rather having to do it audibly. Okay. Then for those of you that may be new to the show or watching in playback and unfamiliar with my channel, I do this in whole sign Western astrology. The times and the days I talk about are based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. And for those of you that are more familiar with your charts, very much look at it in Placidus. And I say this because I am a 26-degree Aries rising. And this makes most of my first house Taurus and most of the house of self in the 12th house, the house of self-undoing, the house that feels invisible, the house that feels unseen and caged in many ways. This is where we see the Pisces energy representing prisons and mental hospitals and challenging dynamics. So good morning. I think that's I. Good morning. So I wanted to bring that up because when you're a little bit more aware of your chart, it really makes a significant difference in your soul's intention. And for me, having my South Node conjunct in Neptune right now, pretty much Neptune's about 28, 29 degrees. I think it's 28 still. My South Node in Aries is at 3 degrees. So there is a part of me that's becoming very aware of my soul's history, South Node, my soul's history, Neptune, my soul's history, and how that is reflected in the Taurus energy of my first house. So while I am an Aries rising, I think this is important. So I just want to emphasize that for a minute. So let's talk about the eclipse, because the eclipse is happening on April 8th at 11:20 a.m. Pacific time. And I think if you have time today, it would be a really excellent day to set intentions. Having Chiron conjunct a new moon, where the sun and the moon have come together in the darkest phase of the moon to plant the seeds for something new to begin. And I believe that is the awareness and the transformation of the wound into the gift. It's an awareness and a wisdom of the contrast. And we saw that illuminated in the first lunar eclipse. How do I have relationships with others based on the relationship I have with myself? How confident I feel, how lovable I feel, how valuable I feel, how much time I spend nurturing the one within so that I may bring that one within into this partnership. I think that's super important. Pisces rising would make the eclipse in your 12th house, potentially even your 11th house, depending on how, if you look at it in placidus. But for the masses, I do this in whole sign because it's a little bit easier to see the connections. So let's talk about the idea of what Chiron represents, because ultimately Chiron was the product of Saturn and I think it's Polyra, morphing into a horse in order to have sex. It was a very lustful moment for them. And she got pregnant. And when Chiron was born, half horse, half human, she immediately abandoned and rejected him. So one of Chiron's biggest themes is the abandonment of self, the lack of being able to be unique within the herd. And so I think that's something that, as you reflect on that, do I judge myself for not being more like others? And then do I feel like I don't even want to be like others? Because not being acknowledged will make Aries resentful and angry. And then we see the idea of history being ignited, meaning our personal history in this lifetime. We see that reflected in the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. Taurus ruling our personal history and our voice, our ability to speak our truth to ourselves. Because we as pack animals want to be embraced by others, but sometimes it's very difficult to feel the embrace when we have ideas that are so far outside the box. I have a 9-degree Taurus moon. So Lucy Rose, we're soul sisters there. Okay. The other things that I think are happening that are important this week are, while it's not in a tight orb, the new moon is also in conjunction with the North Node. And the North Node is going to be in opposition to the South Node every single time. So when we look at that, there's going to be this ravenous desire to be liberated from anything that isn't authentic to the truth of who and what I am. And I want to offer this in the Venusian way with this South Node in Libra. How do I express myself? How do I, make my own money? How do I allow myself the privilege of expressing my talents, my gifts, my thoughts, my thinking of myself as more than just a human banging around the planet, but something that brings value and brings authenticity to the planet. I think that's super important because that's also how we transform the Chiron energy. We have been seeing Mars and Saturn in a conjunction in Pisces. And it's interesting because my neighbor of 20 years, I don't know if I mentioned this because I found out after the show on March 17th. And the first week I was kind of in shock. Now it's been about almost 3 weeks today. He passed away suddenly of a heart attack. He's a Pisces sun. Saturn was going through Pisces. He was already in challenging health. And I want to offer it this way because Saturn came into the house of Pisces and then retrograded, and he had an opportunity to course correct, and he didn't actually stay on course. He didn't lose the weight. He didn't continue to eat well, and ultimately he had a heart attack. I believe he had a heart attack. I think we're going to find that out down the line. But I also know that, he was a music man. So many things hit me because Uranus can indicate a heart attack, that Saturn and Mars in over your sun could indicate an old issue coming up that has to do with, a sudden jolt. But in any case, that's not true for everyone. So I don't want to scare anybody, but I do want to be mindful that those subtle urgings that you're getting about self-care, because this new moon is about the self. And the self, the passions of the self, the desires of the self, the drive for the self, and the willingness to continue to move forward when you can't see results yet, which is why the ruler of this solar eclipse is in Pisces having a chat with Saturn. Because when we look at this as from a higher elevation, from where the soul knows, then we see that this conversation Saturn and Mars are having is about putting structure strategically into our lives, knowing that we are peaceful warriors. We are a part of a brethren, of I've been really into the Knights Templars and watching a lot of information about them that resonates with me in a way that I can't begin to explain. And I think a lot of these sort of subliminal memories might be coming up for us all now. The soul calling us forth to a place that's saying, trust, if you trust that self, we can bring you bounty that you can't expect. This is why these conjunctions are all happening at this time. Why, to my research, Jupiter and Uranus have only met in the sign of Taurus 3 times since the year 1181. And that's pretty significant because each time there was some sort of revolution or renewal or a new technology embraced in some way. And we saw that in 1181 with the Knights Templar bringing a world financial system in place. So now we're going to see similar things to that now. We're going to see changes in the very microcosm of our own lives and also in the broader spectrum of how we rule structure here. So it's really very, very interesting. And by the time we meet next week, Uranus and Jupiter will be, and let's just talk about the earthquake in New York. How's that for unexpected jolting in the city of lights? That's just funny to me. Not funny in a bad way, not funny like I don't want people to be hurt, but it made sense to me. Someone said, oh, it's the eclipse. I said, oh, no, it's the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction in Taurus. So anyway, all right, everybody, are you ready to get started? We're going to start with our Aries and work our way around the Zodiac. Like we do every month, we start with the birthday month. So let me wish all my Aries happy birthday. And if your birthday is this week and if your birthday is tomorrow, very powerful time to just really reflect on yourself and what you want. Mercury is currently retrograde in the sign of Aries and hovering around Eris right now, which is Mars's little sister. So again, we're really looking at standing up for the self, not through a warrior's energy, but through a energy of trusting an inner knowing, and the inner knowing being a collaboration of the soul and the human experience now being birthed in this earth plane for our awareness, not our evolution. Because awareness gives us a tool, and the tool allows us to apply the divine laws of the universe, which then defy human structure. And we can see abundance, happiness, feelings of love and acceptance in the midst of chaos. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put up my little sign first. Aries, your tarot card is... You guys, I got to tell you, the light right now, for some reason, I'm having a hard time seeing the chat. I was trying to make my screen brighter, but it just seems to be not as bright as I would like it. So I'm trying to pay attention. Okay, so here we go. Aries, your tarot card is the 10 of Cups. Now, this is really fun. This is a celebration. It is a metaphor. We have gone through all of the experiences of emotion and intuition and nurturing and feeling supported. And now we are celebrating. There's an awareness here. Now, Aries, this is your eclipse, and you will be on the eclipse axis as long as we're as long as the nodes are in your house. And this is the North Node. The experience we are stretching for in this lifetime. I found myself, I'm in the midst of things in the background of my life that normally would have me inflamed, angry, and fighting like a banshee in the streets. And I have found through this experience a peaceful warrior that trusts an inner knowing, even beyond like pulling cards or anything for myself. And as I've watched myself win each battle in this war, I realized that this war has served me in such a great way because I have learned how to apply my Mars energy in a more Saturnian way. So I build strong structure to not annihilate my enemy, but to stand in my truth and let my enemy deal with their own vibration. I think that's what this is calling forth. The 10 is a 1. The 1 is always going to reflect a thought. So we start with the ace, the infusion of a thought, and then we go to the 10, which is the culmination of the thought or the emotion or the vibration. And I want to offer this too because this is a harmonic universe. And this is why all of us, regardless of race, age, or gender, respond to music so favorably. I mean, I've never met a person who doesn't like music. And if I did, I would have to say, okay, something they meant, I don't know, I just can't even imagine it. But my point is this: is your words are music every day. Every word you utter, every vibration of your second, your chakra, your throat chakra, your second house chakra. So Aries, as you become aware, this is not about diminishing your power, but rather using it in a way that it affects an outcome you want versus just allowing things to sort of vent. All right, let's see what the angels have to say. I want to I don't want to harp, but I want to really bring the awareness that this new moon on that Chiron, exact 19 degrees, 24 minutes. Let's break that down. Or as they say, let's unpack that. 19th degree is the Libra degree of harmony and balance and civility and cooperation and an awareness that two things create balance. Then we have the 24th minute, which is the Piscean degree, further emphasizing the spirituality of balance and the wisdom of contrast, and how things sometimes that feel distasteful initially actually illuminate our power, our control, our abundance, our vibration. So let's see, Taurus, where we're going, because I like the idea of celebrating. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Bridget. The third is Yvonne. And the final is Azure. During this most recent, I haven't thrown cards for myself in years until this battle of the boneheads, I don't know what to call it, has begun. And it's so funny because I know I'm in a moment of unsureness, of insecurity. And then at the same time, when the cards don't reflect what the outcome I feel, I reject them. And I think this is part of the exercise, because the confusion only lies when we look outside of ourselves, only lies where we give our power away. When the universe tells us that we are co-creators, it's not to punish us, it's to bring us into a focus and an awareness. So here we go, Aries. We see the wind fairy, which is a 29, which is all about your thoughts. And being an Aries rising with a Taurian degree, 26 degrees, yeah, Taurian degree. My family history is extremely, and my moon is in Taurus. I'm very connected to my family experience and whether I was embraced or supported. And as an Aries, I have held anger and resentment. But now I see the balance of my thoughts. I'm not trying to wrestle them down. I'm not trying to be positive when I feel negative. Aries, for you to try to do that, it would be such an injustice to yourself. You would be better served, as Spirit says, to look deeper into what you're facing. Where do your fears lie? Why are you potentially upset or angry or fearful or insecure? Because as you plant the seeds for this new beginning, this solar eclipse, having it be conjunct to the exact minute as Chiron could exasperate a wound before and now there's 19 people in the room. If we only had 24 likes, it would be very funny. But anyway, we don't have 24 people to do that. My point is this, Aries, as you look deeper into your motivations, if you're angry, are you angry because you don't feel supported? Your ideas are not being, what is it that's getting to you? Because angels would say there's something about taking authority of your vulnerability. There's something about allowing yourself to feel a sense of justice, to be, Aries is the self, but it's also considered a leader, a pioneer, a brave one, the hero that runs into the burning building to save you. And so sometimes that can be a feeling that's very lonely, like who will watch over me? And if there is a feeling of wanting happiness, wanting home, wanting hearth, wanting to celebrate things more, then Spirit is offering you this. Azure says your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. Aries tends to want to force something to happen, which is actually counterintuitive because it says, I don't believe it's going to happen, so I'm going to push on it. Now we have the angels here. The eagle. And the eagle is a very interesting thing because while it talks about the connection to the angelic realm, the eagle is the ancient totem and is represented within the tarot. It represents the water signs, specifically Scorpio. So here, any criminal activity, any underbelly bullshit that's been, pardon my language, been going on that could potentially be hurting you will start to reveal a balancing. And your opportunity is to stand as the hero and to take the summit between Saturn and Mars in Pisces, which is your 12th house, which represents ancestral soul's behavior. And in some respects, feeling imprisoned by it. Because if you are connected to your soul, oftentimes in history, that has been villainized. It has been literally annihilated and been exterminated and what's the word? Killed, So there could be fear there. All right, that's it for our Aries. Let's go on to our Taurus. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Big opportunities are presented here during this time. And while we talk about the exact degrees, this whole period of time, 2024 is a huge year of awareness. I don't want anybody trying to evolve or climb the Mount Everest of spirituality. I don't think anybody needs to villainize the humanness, the negativity, the depression. We're walking through times that are extremely challenging for us to feel hopeful in because the density of the human structure is being pummeled upon us. You cannot enjoy your silly shows on TV without being told your kidneys are going to fall out of your ears and your eyeballs are going to bleed if you but you better take this drug because if you don't take it, something worse is going to happen. What? No, what? The funniest, pardon me while I digress for a moment, the funniest commercial ever for me is now that I have my depression under control, I just have these tics. I can't pour a cup of coffee, but I'm happy. I bet you this is awareness. We are going to sit in front of our televisions this year and become more aware of the ridiculousness of what is being marketed to us and what's being shoveled down our throats. And we're going to rise to our own individual discernment. And this eclipse season very much has been fostering this awareness. So let's go, Taurus. Oh, all right. Don't worry about the conjunction. This is a card. Oh, I forgot to do my little guy. Hold on. Taurus, your tarot card is the 9 of Swords. Now, if you look closely, there's nothing threatening in this card. There's nothing about those wands that are not securely attached to the wall. There is the pillow itself is yellow, which represents the solar plex power chakra. We see a beautiful quilt full of bounty. And yet what's really getting this character is the subconscious underneath. Okay, we see this warring underneath with this orange. And this kind of leads me to believe that this character wonders whether or not he can actually sustain or create the things that he wants because he's apparently has a certain amount of bounty. He's not sleeping on a cot or on straw, but he has fears, and the fears are projected somehow into the future. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, there's many ways it could play out for you. The layers are like, which house is Taurus for you? I have to say, in Placidus, Taurus is actually my first house. And a lot of what I've been walking through with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is looking at my own behavior and how I've shown up historically. And rather than defaulting to my Aries anger and pushy, I've learned and feel more comfortable and authentic with more of I feel like a panther, where I'm taking my time, creeping up quietly. So something is being triggered about your history. Okay. And your history of what you believe about the viability of your future, the world is a benign place, because I want to offer this. When you believe in the divine laws of the universe, you kind of insulate yourself from the trends that are going on. They may swim around you. You may find your neighbors in trouble, or the person down the street, or even, other people are experiencing chaos, and you'll be sitting almost with in a bubble of protection, because your focus is not on the problem, not on the issue or the environment, but on what is most important to your everyday happiness. As I fall asleep at night, I find myself saying all the time, everything's working out for me. Everything's working out for me. I'm not telling them how it's working out. I'm just saying it's working out. And then I allow spirit to bring things into my sphere that validate that. Okay, here we go. Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stellium. And I really want to emphasize for y'all the moon, because we are emotional creatures. And the more and more I think about it, having my moon in the first house and having my Aries rising is kind of funny, because it just emphasizes that I'm all about me. Okay, here we go. Taurus, first card is Bridget. Now we're looking deeper into that worry. Then we have Desiree talking about conditions. Then we have Aurora saying you will soon, you're flying high, don't descend, that you will soon inspire others. And then we have Azure again in the final position saying your outcome is coming. The human measures things by time, and time is an illusion. Time is something we constructed so that we would be able to put in certain structures so that we could work together and we could create together, because that is a necessary element of the human nature. All right, Bridget is being joined by the protection card. Desiree is being joined by the love card. The High Priestess is joining Aurora, and Azure is being joined by the butterfly. I want to offer this because Taurus rules, so many. On the axis, the zodiac wheel, it rules the ability to make my own money in opposition to making my money through other people, through an inheritance, through taxes, it involves other people's money. Whereas the Taurus energy, through my skills, through my sense of confidence, through my willingness to express myself to myself, you have a very strong energy and a tenacity to do this, a willingness to plow the fields, as they say. So here, Bridget is saying, looking deeper into the fact that you're being protected. Again, we see the 11, this thoughts and things. The 38 reduces down to an 11. The 11 is the master number of thought. Now, in the opportunity of the obstacle, we have Desiree saying that conditions aren't favorable, and then we have the love card. So if you're worried about something manifesting or moving forward in some way, we are in a Mercury retrograde, and Mercury is going over so many points that are having us reflect ourselves in relation to Chiron, Mercury's not immediately in orb, but in the same house with this new moon solar eclipse. And before its retrograde is over, it will retrograde all the way back to the North Node, and it will have met with Venus. So we're going to feel a theme of things. And I think Desiree is saying to Taurus, you're being protected as you look deeper into figuring out what it is that is most important to you and what you love. Because if you want to just make money, that literally literally can be a ticking time bomb, because if you do something you don't like, at some point the activity will supersede the abundance of money. So it's very, very important to follow your heart. And that's what I think is this inner knowing, this sort of Taurus energy that says, you know what, I can't see the outcome. And I know that I'm a little worried about the outcome, but if I'm really, really look deeper into it, nothing is falling off the walls. All of this is just this imprint that I have as a human. Because here, as you're saying, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't force it. And here's the butterfly card. And I feel like this is almost going to make it an opportunity for Taurus to really, Jupiter rules our connection to the angelic realm, our philosophies, our ideologies, our higher learning and ability to learn. And oftentimes we learn the most beautiful lessons when we triumph over something that we didn't think we could do, or we excel at something that we thought we would not excel at. So when we go into the heart chakra, I think these times more than ever, people are responding to an authenticity and a vulnerability of that authenticity versus trying to fit into the box of what is expected by others. So this is what I think is coming up for my Tauruses. And as you start to feel this conjunction, because literally, I mean, I think it's like, it's already a fire that's blazing. It's a bonfire right now. So it's only going to get a little bit bigger. And we can use that fire when we're smart, to light lots of torches and light them around the world. All right. Through our example of our intention and our focus and our tenacity not to accept somebody else's version of whatever we're doing. That's right, DJ. Fire. It really does feel like it's like, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of excited and I have trepidation. I'm very surprised about my neighbor passing away, and I am very surprised at how much it affected me. And this is, I'm going to jaw on for a minute here because I can. I realized, the first week that I don't really respond to people when they die. I don't cry. I didn't cry when my dad died. I don't know if I cried for a while when my grandfather died, but that was over 20 years ago. But when Kirk died, the first week I was in shock. And then the second week, I live on a highway that's like living on a freeway. It's like living on the Autobahn. It's so loud and noisy. And it was like dead quiet around here. Normally his door is open. He's making guitars. You smell varnish, you hear music. And I started to realize that his life was a soundtrack in the background of my life. For 20 years, my door is sat open. 10 of them I've been working for myself. The door is wide open all day. And he'd walk to the mailboxes and wave and walk away. We'd go up, we'd have a beer and watch Jeopardy together or hang out. I mean, so much. So as it's become that he's not here anymore, it's the first time I've felt a void of someone's presence. And when I asked Spirit about it, Spirit said, you have no consistency in your life. Your parents weren't there for you consistently. Your sister's never been there for you consistently. And Kirk was for 20 years. If you needed tape, if you needed a piece of wood, if you needed to use his printer, he was always there. And that consistency is now gone because I don't have that relationship with the other boys in the building. So it's just very interesting. So this conjunction, I bring this up because we're going to relive things throughout our history of who we are, what we are, how we feel about ourselves, how we have interpreted ourselves, how we've become aware and potentially evolved. And it's time to celebrate those things instead of always nitpicking at what isn't. Thank you. I want to say, is it Ankya? That's so nice of you to say. Yeah, I think a lot of us feel lonely. I think Aries feels very lonely, actually, and they fear loneliness and I don't think that's a problem being alone. I think that loneliness is almost the bigger picture of people not seeing the truth of Aries. All they see is the warrior, the box. Sometimes when I see these little snippets of, the shorts or the people that do the TikToks, Aries, you're, one word for and I'm just kind of like, I want to start a revolution, an astrology revolution. All right, here we go. I'm taking my sweet time today. I hope y'all are comfy with that. Gemini rising, here we go. This is your reading, your card. Here we go. Thank you, DJ. The Six of Pentacles. I've been loving this card lately because when I was new at this game, I used to think, well, how do I know who he's going to give the money to? And then I figured out that, oh, the guy in the orange tunic, he's very connected to his sacral chakra, his wants, his desires. It's all he thinks about. And who's getting the money? The guy who thinks about his wants and his desires. And then who's not getting the money? The guy who's talking about worry. The guy who's like, am I going to get it? Am I going to get it? Am I going to get it? And no, he's probably not. Because there's the divine laws of the universe telling us that he's focused on lack. And this guy's focused on more abundance. And so the benefactor turns towards him. Very, very interesting energy, because I want to offer this. The universe does not expect perfection in any way. So you can literally tell the universe, all right, I'm in a wobble. I got $20 million worth of bills coming and I got no money coming in. And the universe will understand that. But the universe will then say to you, well, how will it feel when you get all your bills paid? And that's your job. And Gemini, that's kind of difficult because sometimes you'll feel that momentary relief. Oh, it'll feel great. And then it'll scoot off. Okay. So I've been playing this game with the lottery lately because Jupiter's in Taurus and been hovering over my moon. I just, abundance, wealth, but I started to realize I'm not really trying to win the lottery, although I want to win the lottery. I'm watching my financial vibration. And I kind of think it's fun because as I've been noticing my financial vibration, I feel like it's like Marty McFly in Back to the Future. Because when I first started thinking, oh, I want to win $1 million, I couldn't really imagine it. And then I was starting to think of it more and more. I want to win 20 million, but no more than 20 million. 20 million is my limit. That's the highest I want because anything more than that is a job. And I started to laugh because now I can start to see myself scratching it off. And I see the 2. And then I see a comma, then I see a 0, 0, 0. Then I see a comma, then I see a 0, 0, 0. And I'm like, really? So I'm just trying to play with that a little bit. And I'm not worried about whether I'm winning every one. I know I'm not going to play the dollar slots, and that's the dollar tickets. You got to play a bigger ticket. But I think I'm going to win. I think, you know what? I think a bunch of us are going to win. If that guy, whatever his name, David, can have a show, My Lottery Dream Home, where everybody basically wins the lottery, few people get an inheritance, then if they can win, we can win. It's all a vibration. So what I've been doing is telling the universe to bring my ticket to my store. Bring my ticket to my store. I will go on inspiration, and I won't be cranky if I don't win because I know it's on the way. And I really want to tell you, I think that these startling things are going to happen because other people will be like, oh my God, I never win the lottery. And you'll be like, that's why you never win, because all you focus in on is you don't win. There's been a lot of interesting, I've won like $100 and things like that. And I think at one point I would have thought that was great. And I'd be like, oh, I won $100. And then I'd hoard the $100. But I don't even think of that like that anymore. I'm like, it's $100. Okay, plug it back in. All right. Anyway, Gemini, I know I talk a lot. And I'm in a talkative mood today. So here we go. Ariel, new psychic and spiritual experiences. This is all about an awareness of where's my focus. Am I a have or am I a have not? Does the universe bring things to me or do I feel I have to chase it? Because when I feel I have to chase it, I'm not working in alignment with the universe. Our next angel is Xana, the angel of protection. You're being protected. There's Archangel Uriel, protection from frustration or any potential angers, maybe even just old stories coming up. And then Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. So this is pretty cool because I keep focusing in on that 10th house for you. Pisces, something's happening up there for you. And I feel like it's going to bring something more stable, more sustainable. But let's see. Ariel is being joined by the spider. Xana's being joined by the communications card. Ariel's being joined, Archangel Uriel's being joined by the owl. And the fire fairy is joining crystal. Okay. I want to say for my Geminis, this feels like you're starting to put it together in your material world. You're starting to pay attention and noticing how you inadvertently may default to a have not. And it could be a have not in love. It could be a have not in money. It could be a have not in opportunities. But I want to offer it this way because Ariel is saying now that you've started to notice your self-talk, this gives you an opportunity to have a new relationship with it. And the gentle nature of that relationship, meaning not trying to be perfect, not trying to have great thoughts, but noticing the yeah buts in your life. Because sometimes we tend to defend ourselves when we're in lack. Like, well, I know I could be, doing this, but this is happening right now. Yeah, but this is happening because Xana is telling you that your communication is a key to your feeling protected and abundant in this place. And it's not that you're not allowed to worry. You're in a human energy, right? But the awareness of how much focus is coming that direction, because the owl is asking you to look at the two sides of your own frustration and anger. And if we are to be co-creators in our life, part of us gets to not villainize ourselves when we create a dark spot that then illuminates the light. Because Crystal is saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then there's this action and optimism that comes. And I think this is passion. It could also be the fire fairy could very much represent the solar eclipse. And how over the next 6 months, something could very much transpire as you plant the seeds of your own awareness. To me, that when I noticed the robes in the way that I did, and I noticed like that the benefactor had green boots on, I thought the benefactor represented always standing in his heart chakra, always knowing that, because people who are truly abundant, if you watch The Men Who Built America or any of these historic shows about people who have been inventors or been geniuses, they really sort of pushed all the outside noise away from themselves and were able to focus on something that was magical to them, and they didn't worry about the crowd. Gemini, you ruled the neighborhoods, the workmates, the childhood friends, going to school and grammar school. You rule dispensing of information. So you naturally will have this kind of taking in information. And now I think this is really about discerning the information you're taking in. That's what I'm going to say. Am I taking in information that supports where I want to go, or am I taking in information that actually moves me a different direction? Okay. I want to say this, Jules, because the universe does really weird things for me with the lottery. And I got to laugh because I never found tickets on the ground. I found a ticket that had been scratched on the ground, which I thought was kind of funny. So I entered it in the second chance lottery. I don't know if I'll ever win. Then I found a ticket that was not scratched on the ground about a couple months later, a month or two later. And I won like $30 off that ticket. I thought that was kind of funny. And that's when I started to notice a vibration, that as I was like, okay, it's my turn to win the lottery. That's what I want. I want to win the lottery, buy a little house and live to my old age there. And so I've just been starting the process with no anxiety. I'm not anxious in time. I'm not really doubtful. I understand that I have this, I come from people who think in lack. They're always, money doesn't grow on trees. But as a kid, I always thought, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Plus I have 2 grand trines in Earth. So I don't know. I just kind of think I'm going to win. I don't think I would have won 2 years ago, but now I think I'm going to win in the next few years. Okay. When we harness this energy, we are actually standing as spiritual knights of the round table for the rest of humanity. Because when they ask us because if you listen, I watch my Lottery Dream Home on Friday nights, just a few episodes, because I always like to watch the very beginning. How did they win the lottery? And it's always people who trusted their gut. Yesterday, a guy won, I don't know, $2 or $3 million. And he's like, I don't know, I went to the machine and I always buy this ticket, but I thought I should buy that ticket today. So I bought that ticket. This is what we get to start to practice. Okay. Here we go. Cancer. Wouldn't it be funny if we become like this live group of people that have all won chunks of money out of the lottery? That'd be such a fun thing. We could all fly and meet somewhere and share our lottery stories. Okay, Cancer rising. This is all about you now. Let's see your tarot card. The Fool. You know, the Fool's interesting because there's two schools of thought with this. Often they associate it with Uranus. I often associate it with Mars. And if I think about Mars and Uranus, they're kind of cooperative because they both have a sense of fire and adventure and a bit of spice attached to them, doing their own thing. So here, I think that the Fool, and I think this is interesting, that 0, you know, it's like a new beginning in many ways. So I want to offer this because we'll see what the focus is, but it could be very well that Spirit is saying, to be the Fool during your this eclipse. Allow yourself permission to just kind of throw spaghetti against the wall. You know, let your dreams fly big. Not how you'll get there, but just what they would feel like. I won the lottery. I've done this. I found the greatest love of my life. You know, whatever your dream is. My dream is, you know, is gardening beds and time to play in them. My dream is to sit on a porch with a cool beverage and enjoy everything I've created. My dream is relaxation with the flow of money. But that's what we want, Cancer. We want to be a fool about what we're dreaming about and travel lightly, meaning emotionally. Don't bring your history with you. Now, this eclipse is going to square you. We can say that, but I want to offer it this way because that square always feels like an opportunity to sit, you know, and be aware of a past I know of and a future I'm unsure of. And am I going to keep defaulting back to that which wasn't really making me what I wanted or happy, or am I going to just be a fool and move this direction and see what happens? Great, Queen, though. You'll come over and we'll have a beverage together. We'll sit in our rocking chair. Maybe I'll have a swing too. I love to rock. Cancer, your first angel is Ray, connecting with Spirit. I love that. Okay, next card. Astera, reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and don't compromise. I want to offer this for you guys manifesting things. The broader you can be about, like money's a trigger. The word money's a trigger. Everybody has a ceiling somewhere, what they believe they can create. So if you are challenged in really connecting emotionally to a number, then offer to the universe something broader. For instance, bring me a flow of resources so that whatever I need is always available to me. That way you're vibrationally not fighting your own intention. Okay, then we have Desiree in the Angel's Advice. And finally, Layla. I think Cancer is actually, you know, Cancer rules nurturing, healing. It's very much about other people because it's about the raising and a home and hearth and family. And I often think that a healthy, balanced relationship with the madre energy, with the maternal energy, is an ability to nurture those that I love, but also to nurture myself and represent how important that is. Hey, Stephen, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. All right, here we go. Cancer. Ray is being joined by the Death card. Astera is being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. That's very interesting. Desiree is being joined by the Spider. And then we have Merlin being joined by Layla. Now, late-born Cancers are going to be experiencing an opposition to Pluto. Pluto is still at 1 degree. Pluto will go to 2 degrees before it retrogrades back into Capricorn. So there could be the potential that, you know, on some level, there's a metaphoric awareness that in order to live the life you want to live, you're going to have to step into the unknown. Okay, that's what this feels like to me. And it's further evidenced by Ray and the Death card. It's like the Death card is representing your physicality, and here's representing your spirituality and your inner knowing. And I think that this is a fool following your inner knowing rather than trying to follow structure. When I started being Teri, they called me a psychic. I don't really like the word, but it was the most appropriate term at the time. as people have worked with me, the label that they call me has changed dramatically. Many of my clients think of me as their best friend. I created a dynamic that was on Teri's terms, because Cancer, you're being offered a rebirth, a Plutonian rebirth, as you reach for a part of yourself that you've never experienced. And now it's time not to I want to say the crab crawl is not really going to serve you emotionally or mentally, rather, because this all feels like an interior job. It does not feel like you're literally jumping off of a physical cliff. This feels like it's an emotional cliff where you're being offered an opportunity to travel light emotionally and to just kind of say, what is it that I want? Because Desiree is indicating that conditions are not clear, and that in the sense that you're not coming completely from your heart. You're still probably coming from trying to create balance or whatever your everyday obligations, duties, responsibilities are. Because Layla is talking, there's a strong theme here of connecting with your team. Layla indicates it, and Ray very much indicates it. So let me offer it this way, because you may want to take some time. Cancer, you are a saltwater animal. You may want to get some Epsom salts and even just put your feet in the tub for a minute. If you don't have a tub, get a bucket, get a pan out of the kitchen, put some Epsom salts in it, and start to think about what it would be like if everything was raining what you want. All the happiness was coming in, because there's an experience coming for you. And I think that experience is going to be something that feels like it's a shift on the inside, as if somewhere you start to realize that you are a divine creature of the universe. And every time you've had trepidation or fear, it's been serving you to be a stronger fool moving towards what you want. So I want to offer it this way, because if for some reason this period of time with the retrograde, Mercury retrograde, brings an awareness of something that feels historic and annoying, that's the way I want to put it, historic and annoying, then this is really an opportunity for you to exercise yourself in a new vibration, and one that is more authentic to the awarenesses that you carry now versus what you might have carried earlier in life. Okay. Here we go. Leo. Oh, good. That's awesome, Queen Leo. I gave Lucky a little Epsom foot salt, his little feet. I'll tell you, he's got Neptune crawling all over his sun, and he's just one pussy, mucusy little boy. And I don't think I can do anything about it. I do everything I can, but he has great poops. He's got great organs. All right, Leo, it's your turn. What's going to happen with our lions this week? Let's see. Ooh, we have the Judgment card. Now, this is a very interesting card, because I got to tell you, I actually had a new client this week. It was so exciting. She likes Pluto as much as I do. And we both sort of laughed that what oddballs we are, because we know that Pluto can bring a little bit of let's say a little poopy spot to step in, but then the awarenesses that it brings forward. This card is so Plutonian, and I want you to think of yourself as rising like the phoenix. Something is going to allow you to herald you to a new beginning of who you are. And I think that this Aries, it's always, the fire signs are always trining each other. So this eclipse, regardless of, the closer the degree, fabulous. But this eclipse for my Leos offers you an opportunity to dig even deeper into how you want to express yourself and be brave within that. All right, let's go. When I say brave, I always think it's not brave to other people. It's brave to myself. It's brave, like just taking that one step, opening that website up, or starting to dabble and thinking, I can. When I started to do astrology, when I started my YouTube channel, frankly, I was very stiff and very not Teri. And one of my clients told me my videos sucked. And I was sort of offended, but then I knew it was true. So I couldn't be that offended because I wasn't being myself. And then I just started to ruminate and muse on how I could be myself without having someone else to talk to. And somehow I just got used to being myself. And it paid off. All right, here we go. Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires because your whole life could change. You know, this could bring in money. This could bring in riches. This could bring in so much. This judgment card is not somebody looking for your flaws. It's like the laws of the universe vibrating to your natural harmonic resonance. So if you've been sitting in a vibration of holding yourself small, then Pluto is going to yank your chain and say, no, you're bigger than that. Let's show off. And not to anybody else but yourself. All right, here we go. Then in our opportunity, our obstacle is compassion for Grace and Antoinette. We have Celeste, which is a new job, new home, or shifting the way you're thinking. And then we have Archangel Uriel, frustration. Okay. Okay, here we go. Astera is offering a birth, rebirth. The birth and the rebirth card is joining. We have the Lady of the Lake joining the Grace and Antoinette, which is a compassion for self as I come to a deeper truth of what's important to me. Celeste is being joined by the Letting Go card. And Ariel's being joined by the mystery card. Okay, I'm going to say this. Leo, you know you're a fixed sign, and all the fixed signs have a little bit of a challenge changing their mind. You know, they kind of figure something out and stick with it. And here, I think this is something to do with yourself. Are you judging yourself? Are you judging your story? Because when we look at this birth and this rebirth card as a 50, the 5 is the number of freedom. It's also the number of Leo. And I feel as if this opportunity to really dig deep as to what's important to you. So, you know, we live in a world where there are predetermined roles, even if they're starting to shift, but we can default to them because there's something going on with Leo that's having compassion for a deeper truth. And if you're struggling to have self-respect or you're struggling to step into the courage to assert yourself, then there's something about the timing of it. Because the vibration, what you feel about stepping into an action is way more important than stepping into the action. So if this eclipse for you, trining you, okay, brings some sort of illumination to you that you want to be brave in some way or you want to shift something, understanding on a very compassionate level that the shift will only be beneficial when you first do the be, do, have. What do I believe? What is my disposition? Because the angels are literally talking about a shift in the way you're thinking. That thinking is fear. The letting go card is that song from Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. And this is all about your truth and this compassion, because now is time to make a choice, Leo. Now is a time to make a choice to be authentic to the truth of who and what you want. Now, let me offer this. The truth is, I am a leader, but I don't want to stand in leadership. I know I'm capable of it, but I don't want that role. That's okay. I think this is about removing judgment. I think that judgment card is like, how much are you worried about other things, other people, their plans, their intentions, their thoughts of you? Or, you know, is this about you? When I first started doing this work, everybody in my Christian family thought I was a nutbag, still do. And, you know, then they thought I wouldn't make any money, and I made money. And then they thought I couldn't take care of myself, and I could take care of myself. And I just got sick of chasing their small version of me. So I stopped judging me in relation to everybody else's opinion of me, which is also why I think I'm going to become a little bit more, something just happened in this ear. I'm going to become a little bit more forward about my rewrite of these planets, because I'm really tired of Pluto being bad guy and Venus and Jupiter being good guy. You know, Lucky has Jupiter in Taurus. And no matter how much I feed him a good diet, no matter how much I try to limit his treats, he's getting fatter and fatter and fatter. That's what Jupiter can do to you when Jupiter goes over your sun. You could try to lose weight and then think he's a Pisces. He's all pussy in Pisces. There's allergies. All right, we're going on to our Virgos. Yes, I have very Aries. And I think I also, my South Node is in Aries. So I think that the two big things are, and they're far apart. So my South Node is at 3 degrees of Aries, and my rising is at 26 degrees of Aries. So I think that's very interesting as I observe myself. I love looking at the Placidus house system. It's really intrigued me. Okay, Virgo. We're going to talk about Virgo now because your ruling planet is having a lot to say. And we talk about reflection. That's exactly what this is. So I want to offer this for my Virgos because this gentleman has worked hard to create what he's done. He's looking at his own land. He's looking at what he's planted. He's been patient. He's been diligent. He's been going through the process of creating abundance for himself. And now he's deciding what he wants to do. Let's see. Because as Mercury is going through the sign of self, as Mercury is going over the Chiron, okay, everybody, you don't have to have Chiron in Aries to feel this. Now, that is a generational planet, so many of you will feel that. But my Chiron is in Aquarius, and it sextiles the situation. So it makes me think about, how have I tried too hard to help move the story forward for mankind, and inadvertently I screwed myself up. Because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't change their beliefs if they don't want them. So isn't the divine law of the universe, one of them is to let people believe what they believe and have their own experiences? And isn't my opportunity in that moment of co-creation to allow for that? Is that not an act of love? And that's something I'm learning, and what I understand about my nodal access. All the other astrologers wanted to tell me was all about being married to one person. And I could never relate to that ever. And Uranus, the ruler of my Chiron, Saturn as well, but Uranus is in the 5th house of Leo, and my Saturn is in Capricorn, my 10th house. All right, Virgo. Victory is coming. Seraphina saying a happy change is coming to your family. Now you get to be vulnerable to, this is sometimes hard for Virgo, just waiting. You've done your part of the process. Now you pass the baton on to spirit, to another entity. Let's see where we're going. The victory card is being joined by protection. The 38 is a master number. 38 reduces down to an 11, master number of thought. Seraphina is being joined by the high priestess. Yvonne is being joined by the dog, another 19, another 10, another 1 thought, Mercury. And then we have the cow. Okay. I want to offer this because I think, whoa, oh, good. They didn't drop on the floor. When I look at this for Virgo, I think what I'm seeing here is an opportunity to observe what it is that you've been creating, what you've been. No smalls today. She's having a day. I think she just moved into her new place and she's just getting all organized and stuff. She texted me while I was getting ready, so I kind of couldn't look too hard. But let me go here. Virgo, this contemplation feels a little bit like a reevaluation of what is important to you, because as you've been amassing material resources, there could also now be the opportunity that your currency has shifted from material resources to utilizing those material resources to enjoy yourself more. Because here, the victory comes from your thought process that, it's not just about amassing security, but allowing that security to sink in, allowing that feeling of flow of resources. Because Seraphina is indicating a happy change to your family, but I think this is something to do with your intuitiveness, with trusting and inner knowing a little bit more. It's kind of almost as if, I want to offer it this way, because Mercury is going over Aries, then it's going to go over Chiron, and the moon and the sun will have moved. I mean, it's going to meet with them, but not during the eclipse. Then it's going to meet with Venus as she moves forward out of Pisces. Then it's going to hit that north node. So your ruling planet is literally having like this is your life, okay? And how will you individualize yourself within your life and really assess what is important to you and what you want? And if you have amassed material resources, then great. Do you still want to continue the amassing of that, or do you want to shift to something that you find more tasteful, enjoyable, more leisure? You know, when we think about the dog, we think about, you know, dogs playing and dogs having fun and being carefree. So I think that's what Spirit is saying, because Bridget is asking you to look deeper into what you have amassed and to understand that you are in a space now where you're in a give and a receive. You're in a flow. So as money goes out, money will come in. As money goes out, money will come in. And do you have to continue to tend the garden with such a focus? I kind of almost feel like, because there comes a certain point when things start to grow and they just start to multiply on their own. We know that once this garden has come to fruition, that there will be seeds for the next garden to be planted. So that's where I think we're going. So I want to ultimately say, for my Virgos, this week could very well be about reflecting on what you want for yourself, what's important to you in the way of relaxation, in the way of time spent doing frivolous things, you know, sitting at your table and playing solitaire with a deck of cards instead of on your phone, you know, something silly like that. Okay. Well, you know, I think that there are patterns within, you know, our way of being. You know, one of my big patterns would be to harp on, you done me wrong, you know, the resentment. And Taurus doesn't forget history. You know, Taurus is, you know, they remember everything that way. They're kind of like the elephants of the Zodiac. And because of that, it's a theme in my life. Am I going to focus on what hasn't worked, or am I going to focus on what is working? Because if I keep pulling myself back here, how am I going to feel moving forward? Now I'm going to tell you another little weird story real quick before I move on to my sun sign, Libra. My father passed away, and when I was growing up, my mom's a hoarder. My bio mom, terrible hoarder. I mean, dirty, dirty woman. Her house, ugh. And my sister's a slob, like, you know, of great proportion. She's not a hoarder per se, but she's a keeper of many collectibles, and she's not very organized. I am extremely organized. I like a very neat house. I'm kind of anal. And growing up, my father never believed me. He always threw me into the group with those women, and it used to piss me off. And even after since he's died, like, I will bitch at him when I'm making my bed. I'll say things like, see, I am clean. See how neat my house is? And the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I have had 4, maybe 5 people walk into my house and comment how neat my house is. And that never happened before. And I think it's in a direct relation to the idea that Neptune, the planet that rules the leaving and going to the other side, is hovering on my south node. And my dad is coming through to tell me he acknowledges my neatness. Because I really had a big button about it, because I never had my own room. I never got to display it. And even when when my parents would see me as an adult, it was always like, they never came and hung out at my house. It'd like meet me at Coco's, you know, or something like that. So, and I had cats for many years, and my dad was allergic. So it was like a great get out of jail free card for him. Okay, we got to go. I've been here 5 minutes and I got to go. All right, Libra, here we go. See how my mind works? I'm very Libra. I mean, very Aryan. I got a lot of the Knight of Swords. This has a very Aryan feel to it, doesn't it? I'm charging through. Actually, this is fire and air together. This knight is taking no prisoners. He's just like, in fact, you know, right now, I think he might. We'll see where we're going. We'll see where we're going with this one, because I want to offer it this way. We may get validated for not being a banshee, or it could be with Libra energy. Now, this is why I know I'm not really Libra. I'm a Libra sun, but I'm not really Libra, and I'm the others. I'm the Taurus Aries, because this guy could very well be saying, Libra, it's time to charge ahead with your story instead of being overly cooperative with everybody else. South Node is being triggered by this eclipse. And if for some reason you've defaulted to being overly cooperative, you've been defaulting to the other side, there could very well be a sense of, let's see where we're going. No, 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 no. We're not going to get screwed. No, no, no. This is the planting the seeds for the self. This is going to be good. This is a solar eclipse. This is not a culmination. It's the beginning of a blossoming, of an opening. All right, Libra. Our first angel is Francesca. Will you visualize? What are you focused on? What can be or what has been, aka positive or negative. Then we have Opal. You're a child of God. We have Oceana, trusting your intuitions and your emotions. And then we have Sonia being this. I'm talking about my dad, the death, and here comes Sonia. Maybe my dad is hanging around lately. Maybe it's Kirk. Who knows? Let's see. I don't know where the night's coming in. So let me look here. We need more clarity. Francesca is being joined by the king. Opal's being joined by the cat. Oceana is being joined by the frog. And Sonia's being joined by the trust card. I'm going to say this for my Libras. I think that this eclipse is about you being maybe a little uncomfortable with the idea of being a little more assertive in your own life about what you want, what you need, what you like, what you don't like, being an equal partner, or the idea that potentially, if you're that way, that's not desirable, because Francesca and the king come together, and the king could very well be a Libran energy. It represents justice. Libra represents justice. It represents taking authority and taking authority over my own viewpoint. Now, I'm a Libra, 23-degree Libra, and my Mars is in Libra. And most astrologers will say that I'm argumentative in relationships. I don't believe that. I think that I'm a warrior for the king. I believe Travis Kelce has Mars conjunct his sun in the 11th house of Libra. And I think that makes him a great warrior and a good team player. Kobe Bryant had his sun conjunct Saturn, and it was in Virgo, and it made him a really hard worker. I feel as if this is a little bit about Libra rewriting their story. I think that this night is stretching you to think about your own individuality and what makes your clock tick, for lack of a better term. And as you do that, then you become a more engaged partner, because you're excited about what's going on with you. And when we're excited about things that are going on with us, we want to share it with others. Because I think this cat is representing healthy boundaries. You're a child of God. Your relationships will not suffer. They will actually get more lives. Because here in the angel's advice is, here's your emotional body, trusting what you know on an emotional level. And then here's the frog. This represents a cleaning of an emotional, I always like to call it a reconciliation, where potentially whatever divots and whatever challenges I went through, I've walked through for a point of an awareness. And that awareness is really that deeper truth that the inside of me tells me when I'm about to step into something. You know, Taylor Swift's, I knew you were trouble when you walked in. That would be the inner knowing. Okay. And then most of the time we don't listen. We just plow right into the trouble, and then we're victimized by it. But not in this case. For my Libras, this is an opportunity, especially this week, for you to plant the seeds for your own individual wants, desires, expression, to have a passion about it, to have a sense of adventure about it, and to trust that as you do that, and as you step into that energy, you will be protected by those that watch over you on the other side. This is Sonia representing your team of loved ones. And then here is this trust card, which is a 47, which reduces down to an 11, which then plays again to my thoughts and how I'm focusing in on things. The thing about him, well, he can be very harsh, depending upon the cards around him. He's taking no prisoners. And when we are going to endeavor something, regardless of the outcome, in order to see it come to fruition, we have to sort of block out anybody's else's version of how it will play out, because their vibration is not really, unless you're in partnership with them and you're endeavoring that together. But as an individual, this is for Libra to trust you as you stretch yourself. All right, let's move on. Teri Hoover. When I see you, I my initials pop out in my head, and I think, wow, you even spell your name the same way as me. Okay. And welcome to the room, by the way. All right, everybody. Cool. All right, here we're going to go on to our Scorpios. You know, I want to offer this too as I'm shuffling for Scorpio, because Scorpio rules psychology and other people's money and sex and a real sense of vulnerability, really. And here we go, Scorpio. And I want to offer this because I think that this eclipse season is offering us an awareness into our own psychology. Scorpio. And what is this? This is the beginning of thought. This is focused thought. This is like an awareness. It's as if God is giving you the keys to the kingdom to know that when you're focused on a certain dynamic, you're creating a momentum with that. So let's see where the momentum is, because this is an eclipse that would call us and offer us an opportunity to focus on something, to plant the seeds within our own emotional body, maybe do our ceremonies and rituals that are vision boards, and have a real awareness as to what we're saying or we're depicting, and is it giving me the outcome I want, having a keen eye. One time I worked with a client and she wanted a relationship, and we worked on a vision board, and she brought it back a week later. We were doing coaching at the time, and every couple on our vision board was looking the opposite direction. One was looking that way and one was looking this way. So we had to go back and do the exercise over again to make sure that all the depictions were aligned. So the couples were looking at each other, holding hands, connected in some way. This is going to bring Sagittarius into a focus of some kind of how you're creating, with an opportunity to be victorious over it, or to be victorious within it. So much of this card is, if you look at the colors, they're all the higher vibrations. They're all the upper chakras. So this is really an awareness that our thoughts are things, and that those things are a divine expression of our inner being. Isn't that kind of funny? If you had a middle initial D, that would really take me out. Because my middle initial is D. And a few years ago, I was like, oh, I'm tall, dark, and handsome. Or at least that's why. All right, anyway, I digress. Scorpio, our first angel is Merlina, magical wizard. Sonia, connection to the other side. Victory, Omega, Victory comes in the form of Omega, and then we have Indriel, the light worker. Now, I really don't think being a light worker is a special job. I think we all are light, and we are all here expressing our light. So let's see where we're going. Merlina is being joined by the trust card. Sonia is being joined by the love card. Omega is being joined by the forgiveness card. And Indriel is being joined by Merlin. Okay. Everything in this is all about your thoughts and your things. And this is what I want to say about Scorpio, because Scorpio, you know, Scorpio can be a very polarizing sign, because those that are unconscious Scorpios can be very difficult to deal with. And once they make up their mind about something, you can't change it no matter what happens. But Scorpios that are standing in an awareness are like my favorite people in the world, because you're so brilliant and you're so intuitive, and you don't even realize it. So this is about harnessing your talent, harnessing your skills. Anybody who has personal planets in Scorpio, Mercury, Venus, Mars being the co-ruler of Scorpio, or the sun or the moon. This is powerful. I have my Mercury in Scorpio, and for a long time, I didn't realize that I could literally see into somebody's, darkest spots and extract it. I had a way of expressing it, because I think now that this is Merlina representing balance in wizardry and magic through a harnessing of your thoughts and a trusting of your power within you that knows. Yes, Scorpios can be the greatest friends you ever have, because Mars is a very loyal companion. But here, I want to offer it this way, because this trust is focused in on your intention right now. We are talking about that we are planting the seeds of of a new adventure up against Chiron, the wound. And all of us are going to experience some sort of exasperation of that Chiron. We could find people. I had somebody completely assault my character, lambaste me, claim on being one person, and the facts could not be more wrong. And this person is a Scorpio, and this person, literally, I've known them for 20 years. They decided who I was before they ever spoke to me. And over the 20-year course, because I have excelled, the things that they feared about me have been exasperated. And now I've surrendered. You have your opinion. Because this is what I say about Scorpio. You can't worry about other people's opinions right now. You, of all the signs of the zodiac, have the ability to create things that bring so much physical abundance into your experience. And now what Spirit is saying is to be aware of the love of your heart and how that you're using your words, your thoughts for yourself. I'm not even worried about other people. How are you self-talking? How are you giving life to the things that you want? Because the challenging side, because you could go down that brooding dark side and end up in a toxic tunnel. But no, because now when you go and you connect with Spirit and you go back and you know that the dark spots are starting to make the color pop, because Pluto's starting to square all of the fixed signs. So early born Scorpios could be feeling it already, but here's victory. Victory is imminent, and it comes through you recognize something. If something inadvertently seems to be erosive right now, as you align to a thought that's bigger, that something bigger is happening, because Indriel is bringing a bigger thought, an idea, an energy coming in. And then we have Merlin. Merlin represents justice, alchemy, and balance. And in many ways, that alchemy always comes through a pressurized situation. I often like to think of the coal that goes into that pressurized dynamic and comes out a multifaceted being. So here, this particular eclipse, where you can kind of even say, because Mars is your co-ruling planet, and Mars rules this eclipse, and Mars is currently in a conversation with Pisces, with Saturn. So we have this cooperative component of water, Scorpio, Pisces, water. And here, having this summit of history, it can bring an awareness of your thoughts that offers you a victory where you feel more connected than you did before, and you trust a path from an intuitive place versus a material place. And things will start to click into place. This is going to be a very, very, I think, polarizing time where many of us who are standing in this awareness and talking in awareness, I am winning the lottery is my chant. Not, I hope to win the lottery. I am winning it. And I'm not worried about the timing of it, because I know the timing will be divine. And I also know my manifestations. So many things are going on. April, and then we go into May. It's just so many more. I'm starting my May videos. It's amazing what's going on right now, because I really think that we are tooling the soil. We had to break things down in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. We're re-examining our belief systems, and we're starting to say, wait a minute, how do I create value for myself and see myself and be important in my own life? I'm tired of being part of this homogenized herd being shoved in a certain direction. All right, Sagittarius, here we go. You know what else I want to comment on real quickly as I say this? The first, the fifth, and the ninth houses, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, are Dharma houses. They are houses that provide reward for good deeds that have been done. Within the house of Sagittarius, we have two very powerful points. The great attractor at 14 degrees of Sagittarius, where you don't effort to make something happen. You bring it towards you through the divine laws, starting with your thought. And then we have the 27-degree galactic center. And we have our orbs there. Sagittarius is very powerful. The end of the year, and this doesn't happen very often, but I noted that we're going to have another Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. It's going to hit some Sagittarius area. I didn't look because I was focused on something else at the time, but it did click to me because last year we had a Sagittarius Mercury retrograde. going over those points, the galactic center, the great attractor. And these points are going to become more tangible to us, more realistic in utilizing them. We're going to see the stars as they cross these points, and we're going to start to harness that energy and then draw what we want to us. So, and here we have the Justice card. Here, this is so wonderful. What does Sagittarius rule? It rules justice. It rules the Supreme Court. And what is justice? It's a balance of, it's an ebb and a flow of dark and light. So let's see what's coming into play, because your ruling planet is highly activated right now. highly activated. Is anyone in the chat from New York? Did you experience the earthquake in New York? Because, here in California, we're kind of used to it. I've kind of been a little bit of expecting one here. Haven't felt anything really. But I don't think New York, we don't think about that. All right, here we go. Sagittarius, our first angel is Omega, victory. The second is Azure, saying you're flying high right now. Don't descend. You will soon inspire others. Then we have Opal. It means you're a child of God and God is watching over you. And then we have Fiona saying, now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. This is lovely. So let me just elaborate on a Dharma house, because each one of the four corners, or the trines, have their own special magic attached to them. And I want to emphasize that when we talk about Dharma, we're talking about rewards for expressing ourselves, for standing in leadership, for standing up for what I believe in, for expressing the fire. When you have life, or when your fire, what does Jeff say? When your fire's out, you're out of the tribe. So here, we want to really start to think about fire representing passion and representing, the desires of the heart, and this giving a just time for you to capitalize on this. Omega is being joined by the Grail Knight. That's Lancelot. Then we have Aurora being joined by the communications card. Opal being joined by the Raven, which is about timing. And we have the Baird joining Fiona. And Swantech, you're in New York. Did everything go okay with you there in the earthquake? Did anything fall down? Anything jump across the room? Did you run into the door jam? Did you get out? Are you okay? I'm assuming you're okay because you're here in the room. But let's look at this, Sagittarius, because this is really, really beautiful. What I think is happening here is I believe that your ruling planet has started to rewrite some things for you while it's been going through the sign of Taurus, rewriting how you view your skills, how you view your voice. And when I say voice, I don't mean the singing voice. I mean the voice that runs in our head, the self-talk that says you're important, you're not important. One of the big, running themes of my childhood is that I'm hostile, that I'm angry, that I'm always picking a fight with somebody. And you know what? So much of that could be true, but I'm very much about standing up for what I believe in. And if we look under the surface, that's when I take up arms, when I start to fight. Because what I'm saying about Sagittarius here is there's victory being had as you stand up for what is sacred to you, as you bow down to a deeper truth. Oh, sorry, let me go this way. This way, yes. This is Lancelot, and this is Excalibur. So, no, the tarot card was the Justice card for Sagittarius. And to me, this very much, while there's very much a Libran flair to that energy, and we see the Libra energy being triggered or being activated by the eclipse, this to me feels it's more about justice for Sagittarius. There's victory as they stand in what they believe for themselves. This communications card and Aurora saying that it feels almost as if this has been a time to recognize that your bigger wants and desires, the things that you want to create, have been divinely guided for you, and now is a time to begin to harvest them. Because now I feel like Fiona is saying, now that you ask God and the angels for help, continue to tell the story of your help. Continue to tell the story. You know, the Baird, while it rules history, it rules music. It rules the enchantment of storytelling. It rules poetry. It rules myth. So, and Sagittarius rules publishing. It rules writing. It rules influencers. So much of what we do here, this is a Sagittarian event that we're engaging in right now. So for my Sagittarians, it's just, and it's a right time to sort of surrender to your bigger heart's desires, to focus in on that, to talk about it to the self, to God, and to the angels, and then to allow yourself to be inspired into action, as I believe you will be. And I want to offer this too, because there's so much about music coming. I'm seeing musical notes all over my, like almost like, you know, you see stars, I'm seeing musical notes. So that could be two things. It could be literally you're a singer, or you have something to do with music and you get to assert yourself in that way, but it could also mean prayers. And as you pray in alignment to that which you want, Spirit will start to bring in those experiences, and that you could potentially create your own source of income or resources as you allow that to blossom. That's the way I want to put it. Okay, on to our Capricorns, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Perfect, Stephen. Sometimes I forget you're a Sagittarius because I think about all the Piscean energy. So I forget that. So we're right on track there. All right. All right, our Capricorn rising. Here we go. Hi, Josh. Good to see you. All right, my goats. The Emperor. This is very powerful because Mars is exalted in Capricorn. The Emperor is Aryan. He's very, very he knows what he wants. There's so much Aries in this energy. And what I think this is referring to is the Saturn-Mars conjunction in Pisces. Let's see, because I really think that this is a conference. This is a summit. We're in the room. We've got the water bottles, and we're talking strategy here. We're talking about strategy about how to be a peaceful warrior, how to rewrite the structure of this fear-based planet. And Saturn is ready to start to build new things. So let's see where we're going, because Pluto has been activating Capricorn for quite some time. We know that. And as Pluto backtracks later on, not far, just a month or so away, maybe a month and a half, back, retrogrades back from Aquarius into the final degrees of Capricorn, we're going to see, this is on the world axis. This is very much about a deconstruction of the personal fears and a claiming of discernment. Am I really one of those herd people that if I don't do this, then I won't get that? Very individualistic. Now let's take this a step further. Tomorrow's eclipse is in the sign of Aries. And while Aries naturally squares Capricorn, we cannot miss the fact that the ruler of Aries is exalted in Capricorn. So we have almost opposing energies. So what I think we see is that as Mars matures and as it takes instruction from Capricorn, aka Saturn, aka Yoda, then Mars becomes a more peaceful and intentional warrior. And yes, if Mars needs to pull out the sword and go into battle, he will do so with an awareness of humanity and a compassion in his heart. The two signs I love the most are Scorpio and Capricorn, and they're the two signs that have also given me the most shit in my life, I'll tell you. Okay, here we go. Capricorn, we have Chantal, the angel of romance and love. Then we have Indriel, the light worker. Then we have Astera saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires. And then we have Bridget saying to look deeper into a situation. Chantal's being joined by the Baird. Indriel's being joined by the Raven. Astera's joining the Dragon. And a card just fell on the floor. So that's going to be our final card. Let me grab it without dropping my stone. And it's the love card. Okay. I want to offer it this way because this is not about intimate love. This is about how you love as a authority in your life and in the lives of the people around you. This Baird is telling a new story. This Baird, we just talked about the enchantment of storytelling. We talked about the myth, poetry, and also this rules history. Capricorn rules history. And then here is this loving energy of Chantal. I really believe that my Capricorns that have been in arenas like this one or in communities like this one have been stretching to rewrite the structure and to build sustainable relationships and dynamics in the earth plane based on spiritual laws. You know, the Capricorn energy rules law. It rules government. But so often the human just defaults to human government, human law. Here we see the emperor who rules over kings now rewriting the story of our history, coming from a more loving place because the timing is right. This raven, it never is lost on me that the bones of the skull could not be more dry. There's no meat left. There's no point in picking at what has been. It's dead and buried. It's time to fly off. And it's time for Capricorn to start to represent their illumination, what they have garnished, what they have discerned through this period of Pluto, deconstructing the old stories, and in many ways pushing the toxic waste out into the open so it could be transformed. Because here we see Astera saying to reach for the stars of your dreams and desires, and it is a good time to assert your power. But this is now the power over self, the power over the story that has been. Because Bridget is talking to look deeper, and then we see love again. And I think that what Spirit may be doing with our Capricorns is saying, as you're assessing your loving relationships, you may find that there is a lot of duty and obligation attached to them that you didn't realize. Like you may inadvertently think, well, of course, my wife loves me, but I got to make sure that I clean her car and I got to make sure I do this. And I think that there's something about turning in and looking at yourself, reevaluating things from a place of holding yourself in cherishing yourself a bit, saying that this transformation is in many ways Capricorn right now represents for me a dynamic of marrying the spiritual with the material. And I think that's what Saturn's sojourn through Pisces is doing. It's what the summit is calling forth. And now how can Saturn or how can Capricorn represent that for themselves? And well, being able to embrace if others kind of rub up against it. Sometimes when we've got these signs that are very much focused in leadership or in duty to others, then some of us depend upon that duty rather than stepping up to our own game. I'm sorry to hear that your wife does not love you. That's not good to hear. Well, I don't know what your chart's like, but there is dynamics right now that would bring forth any imbalances. But I want to offer this because just call me C. So good to see you in the room. I think that right now we are going through layers of awarenesses about how we've created loving relationships in our lives. And I think sometimes we've created them based on things we think we want, but we've wanted it in relation to how others perceive our wants and desires. And I think that's part of what Pluto's journey into Aquarius is going to reveal, is that we are each going to define ourselves a little bit differently and all have the common theme of wanting to express and feel a sense of support and love in that expression. And I think that's what's going to be so beautiful once we get through the deconstruction. I hope I live long enough. Okay, Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. It's you next. And your tarot card is the Lovers, of course, because Pluto's making an aspect to your 7th house. So let's see, this card, oftentimes we think of it all about love, but it's about vulnerability. We see the characters are not vulnerable to each other, but to themselves. to their opinion of themselves, how they look naked, how they feel naked. And both these characters are stretching to be open-hearted and aware of their choices. And it's interesting too, because as we look at the varying sides of the fence, we see the snake, we see the apple. Now, the snake could be interpreted as a predator. The apple is that evil apple of whatever that story was. But I think of it as an opportunity that when I am vulnerable to love, I can shed a skin. I can create more. And when I look at the masculine side of this, I feel like it's the fire makes me feel as if, because the tree grows taller on this side, and it makes me feel as if as we come together, we want to see that we complement each other and we allow each other to grow, to express. And that's why ultimately the lovers represents choice. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. So let's go, because Aquarius is going to represent new choices. And I want to say this as well, because when we look at Aquarius, we really are looking at a level of brain power. We're really looking at genius here. And oftentimes that feeling of genius also has a tendency to exile us. And so let's look and see where we're focusing in on these choices. Our first angel for Aquarius is Yvonne, our angel of vulnerability. Then I have Grace and Antoinette, which is about compassion. Then we have Chantal, the angel of romance, and then Bridget. Okay, we've got some themes going on here. Yvonne is being joined by the Wasp. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Love card. Chantal's being joined by Merlin. And Bridget's being joined by the Movement card. So we see that the Aquarius energy is going to trine the Libra energy. And I say that because the South Node is in Libra. And the Aquarius energy is going to sextile the Aries energy of the eclipse where the North Node is. Because there's something about this that makes me feel as if when I look at this, Spirit is saying to Aquarius, this really is about choice. Choice of thought, because it rules the Gemini energy. Choice of speech. Because when I look at this Yvonne and the Wasp card, they feel almost like Aquarius could be feeling very vulnerable right now, feeling very not protected. The nakedness of the lovers, I don't feel protected, and I'm pissed off about it. I'm really pissed off about it. I'm sick of it. And now Spirit is saying, this is about Grace and Antoinette is about compassion, and there is love. And I feel like there's the potential that through your authentic and maybe raw and potentially more aware communication, let me offer it this way. Aquarius, because they rule science and technology, they're not considered the most emotionally goopy or soft. They're a little bit more considered logical, okay, thinking things through. So if for some reason during this week what you discover is that people have misinterpreted your communications, maybe they don't think you're being loving enough, or you're being empathetic enough, or you don't feel someone's being empathetic enough or loving enough to you, then this, I think, is about expressing things the way you want to receive them. Here in the angel's advice is love, and an eminent feeling of love that brings balance. It brings a sense of justice here. And Bridget is asking you to look deeper into movements, and the movement comes back over here. Let me offer it this way. I'm going to be a little bit blunt. This may be applicable to you, it may not. But when we are angry with somebody, when we scold them, when we tell them you're bad, it doesn't really bring a bridge. It just brings someone who wants to defend themselves. So what I see here potentially for Aquarius is as you surrender not to focus on your anger, but what makes you feel loved or vulnerable, and you express that, you'll probably get somewhere. with whoever you're expressing it to. And you may be even expressing it to yourself. It may be something you discover about yourself. I became very, when I discovered that I was 90% of the problem with my anger, that all I ever did was focus in on what people did to me versus what I could take from what was done. It was hard. And when Eckhart Tolle came out with The Power of Now, and I realized that my brain was holding me hostage to a vibration I no longer wanted to experience, I became more gentle with my brain. I realized it was a muscle, that it did things that I couldn't necessarily control, but I could in the moment have an awareness that created a shift in the harmonic resonance of that moment. Pisces, we're on to you, our final sign of the day. And this is a very, very interesting energy because it is a difficult decision and one that cannot be made with logic, but rather with the heart. It's a Libra energy. The 2, 3, and 4 of the air sword suit represent the Libra energy. Pisces, you've got Saturn. It's been traversing through your house, your first house, asking you, demanding you to look at things from a sustainable point of view. Is this relationship sustainable? Is my viewpoint, am I showing up sustainable? When I was younger and boob jobs started becoming very prevalent, or getting facial injections or anything, cleaning, whitening your teeth, I would always say, I can't have boobs because they don't represent who I am. It would be a misrepresentation. I can't do that. I'm just gonna have to put up with my little boobs. Then when I started to age, people would say, Teri, you should get injections. I'm like, no, I'll never keep up with them. So I would just end up either being lopsided, or I would look good one day and my face would fall worse than it was before. I have an awareness of who and what I am and what is sustainable for me as a human. I believe that, Pisces, you're making decisions about what is truly sustainable for your heart, for what you want to experience moving forward. And I think it has something to do with the relationships you have with others. Let's look and see. We can't forget. It would be remiss to forget that the ancient ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. And Jupiter being your co-ruling planet, and having your ruling planet hovering on a sign change. It's in the last degrees of its rulership, really garnishing the wisdom, not the erosion that Neptune can represent, but garnishing the wisdom. And the wisdom is an ebb and a flow. The wisdom is that contrast is key to empowerment. You can't live a happy ever after life. It's not happy that way. All right, here we go, Pisces. Our first angel is Indriel, the light worker. The second is Daniel, the angel of history and partnership. Fiona is saying, now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving the information. And Rochelle is all about following your heart for prosperity. Yeah, think they can come off cold because they just don't respond to drama very well. They can create drama, by the way. No offense to Aquarius anywhere, but they don't see it as drama. They see it as rebellion. And I do think that, but there can be things. I know someone who has an Aquarius stellium, but they have a Pisces moon, and they're super emotional, super connected and warm and loving. And that's why I am always so focused on the moon. I know the rising is my perception. I know the sun is my drive, but my emotions are going to rule me no matter what. And I challenge any human, the very few are not emotional characters. So, all right, Pisces, Indriel is being joined by the Joy card. Daniel's being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. Fiona's being joined by the Restriction card, and Rochelle's being joined by the Love card. All right. I would say this is not about taking action to make a decision. This is about a deliberation, and not a deliberation with your brain, but a deliberation with your heart and your intuition. And I say that because she's not holding the swords up like this. She's holding them like this. And on some level, with her eyes closed, she may be more connected to her heart, to combining the two things. Because Indriel, The light worker is literally saying to Pisces, are you allowing for joy in your life? Are you allowing joy to flourish? Because there is time for a rebirth from your history and within your partnerships. There's the potential. This is the angel of marriage. It's also the angel of my history in marriage, in committed relationships. And here is this potential for a rebirth. But part of that is a willingness to sit back and really look at what you want that rebirth to be, meaning, let me offer it this way, because if the rebirth is, oh my gosh, I wish my lover was more romantic. Why do you want them to be more romantic? Is it because it's fun to have romance? And if indeed, are you perpetrating that romance? Or do you want more romance because you want to feel loved? Because what I think is that this is a deliberation of a deeper expression of love. And sometimes love is interruptive. Sometimes love doesn't pick you up. It lets you pick yourself up so you know you can. Because here, for my Pisces, I think this is all about your heart and about love of what you want. This is about the expression of your own joy, of all the things that you want to express. And if for some reason that decision you're making is between a relationship and what you want for yourself in your heart, meaning my partner expects this from me, I don't think I can be an astrologer because they don't believe in astrology, or blah, blah, blah. There's somewhere where you're going to have to come into a middle space with yourself being the point, the epicenter, ground zero. That's the way I want to put it. Because as you follow what you love, I think you have an opportunity to rewrite your history. And so essentially what I'm saying is, for Pisces, as you plant the seeds in this solar eclipse for a sense of independence, for how you make your money, Aries is your second house, and you allow yourself to follow an inspired path in that direction, and you speak to yourself with the trust and the awareness that you're not going to know how it's going to play out, but you're going to feel your way through it, then the universe is going to give you opportunities that will then let the people around you experience your way of being, which will then give it deeper roots for them to agree with you. That's the way I want to put it. This is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity and a rebirth within your relationships. All right. I think that's it for me for today. I talked a little longer, been trying to keep this down to an hour and a half, but such is life. I'm fabulously flawed. So thank you, everybody. When we meet next week, we will have experienced a lot of this conjunction. We'll have experienced how it's going to play out in the 3D world around us, and hopefully we'll be intending how it will play in the interior world for us. So I appreciate y'all for being here and for supporting me every week and the growth of the channel. And I will see you next week at 11 a.m. And if you haven't, let me just give you the April videos are out. Jupiter-Uranus conjunction video is out. I did a follow-up. It says April part 2. I should have named it better, but I didn't. But if you want to check that out, it talks about some of the things that are happening around the conjunction that are contributing to the energy. All right, everybody, sending lots of love to you. And even though Small Wildflowers isn't here, I include her in this loving embrace, and I'll see you all next week. Peace out. See you on the flip side.